Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're going to give it a few more minutes and wait for a little bit more people to join, but welcome. Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, The Blueprint to Getting Your Vehicles on the Road Fast. We're excited to have you here today. If you manage fleets, coordinate vehicle transport, or deal with titling and registration, you already know that getting vehicles road ready isn't always as simple as it should be. So today we're going to be pulling back the curtain on the process and show you how to make it way less stressful. Joining me, we have two experts who live and breathe this process every single day. Heidi is our business development representative from ATC Driveaway, who specializes in nationwide vehicle transport. And Kevin is the sales account manager from ABS Tag and Title, who handles titling, registration, and compliance across all 50 states. So thanks to you both for being here. We can go ahead and start with a quick overview so everyone understands what each of you does. So Heidi, can you give us a quick overview of ATC Driveaway and the types of vehicles and clients you typically work with?
Sure. ATC Driveaway is a nationwide vehicle transportation company. We specialize in moving vehicles safely and efficiently, by using a professional-based model. We move a wide range of vehicles from commercial trucks to car haulers to dump trucks, buses to box trucks, and specialty vehicles, making us a really good, flexible solution for anything that can be driven. Our clients are just as diverse. We work with fleet managers, leasing and rental companies, manufacturers, dealerships, upfitters, really anyone who needs a vehicle relocated quickly and reliably.
Nice. And when a client comes to you, what are the first steps that you usually take to get a vehicle moving?
Sure. Once a client reaches out, the first thing that we do is we gather key details that we'll need for this move. vehicle types, pickup and delivery locations, timing, and any special requirements. From there, we provide a quote, and once the quote is approved, we coordinate pickup and delivery logistics and make sure all documentation is in place before the vehicle even moves. Throughout the process, we stay in communication with the client, providing updates. Our goal really is to make it as smooth as possible from request to delivery.
Nice. And Kevin, same for you. Can you walk us through ABS tag and title and what the team handles when it comes to getting vehicles compliant and road ready?
Sure can. Thanks everybody for joining today. With ABS Tech and Title, we've been in business for over 30 years. We work in all 50 states and over 1,400 jurisdictions across the country. We handle anything that goes to the DMV, from initial title and registration to IRP after 2290. Anything you need for your fleet, we can help with that as well. With the help you get those vehicles on the road and processed as quickly as possible.
Nice. And what are some of the most common services fleets rely on you for?
Well, like I said, IRP is number one, especially fleets with over the road or interstate vehicles. And it's really, it varies by the fleet. It could be if acquiring new vehicles, we can help with the initial title and registration. One of the biggest ones for multi-state fleets is state transfers. If you're moving vehicles between states, we can help get those done efficiently as well. Those are the two biggest ones we generally see use for.
Nice. Moving on to Heidi, there are a lot of transport companies out there. So what makes ATC different, especially when it comes to handling complex or large fleet moves?
Well, we don't treat large fleet moves like a series of one-off orders. We approach them as a coordinated project. That means building a clear plan up front. A lot of drive-away companies are reactive. We're proactive in how we manage volume. Our driver network is both extensive and vetted, so we're able to ramp up quickly while still matching the right drivers to the right vehicle. Communication is a huge difference. On complex moves, things change, timelines shift, priorities adjust. We stay connected with our clients throughout the process so our clients aren't left guessing. Lastly, we bring experience. We've handled high volume, multi-location fleet moves across industries. So we understand the operational pressures our client faces. We act as a partner who can adapt to those needs.
Nice. And what's something that clients are often surprised to learn about the drive-away process?
Mm, I would say clients are often caught off guard, but in a good way, by how hands-on yet low effort it feels on their end. Once we have the details of the move, we take ownership of the process. We keep them informed and handle the moving parts so they can focus on their business.
Nice. Moving on to the titling and registration side, what sets ABS apart from other providers?
Well, it's the experience and the ability to work across multiple states. As you're looking at partners, if they can't provide access across all the different DMVs and jurisdictions, it may not be beneficial to you for what your needs are in the title and registration. They should also have the experience and the ability to work across, like I said, multiple states, but also be able to utilize different groups on the ground to help facilitate transactions as quickly as possible. That way you can keep the process moving, because we all know the DMV is no fun to work with. So the quicker and the easier you can make things, that it benefits everybody.
And why would you say it's important to have a partner who understands all 50 states and jurisdictions?
Well, it may not be all 50 states for the partner, but they should understand the ones you're working in. It makes it easier on the fleet manager if their partner understands what is needed in each jurisdiction to get those vehicles on the road and keep them compliant. Across the industry, you're seeing a huge crackdown in compliance related issues. So if your vehicles are getting pulled off the road, they're not making money for you. So you want a partner who understands what each jurisdiction or each state requires to keep those vehicles on the road and making money for your company.
Nice. All right, now let's get into the part that everyone wants to know about, which is all about speed and efficiency. Ultimately, the fastest way to get your vehicles on the road is by partnering with experts who know all the ins and outs, like people like Heidi and Kevin, of course, who handle the complex steps every single day. So, question to you both, what are the biggest delays you see when companies are trying to get vehicles on the road?
With ATC, I would say vehicle readiness, vehicles that aren't actually ready, whether it be dead batteries, maintenance issues, missing keys, or sometimes not even being released internally. This can sideline a driver and push timelines back quickly.
Yeah, on the title and registration side, it is just not having the proper paperwork we need to complete transactions at the DMV. While your partner should be able to, complete the state documents that are needed, the client has to provide the information we need to even get the process started and prove ownership of that vehicle and complete what's needed to get that vehicle on the road. So it's really having that documentation ready and available. And if you're not sure where it's at, then that's one of the first things that needs to be accomplished is get the title. Make sure you have the MSO or the bill of sale available for that vehicle if it's new, or like I said, a title and insurance information. That way your partner can get it through the DMV as quickly as possible and get the vehicle up and moving.
Nice. And what documents or information should clients have ready up front to avoid delays in titling and registration?
Well, like I said, if you own the vehicle outright, then have the title. If you are purchasing a new vehicle, we need the MSO and the bill of sale. Any partner, these are the things that the DMV requires. Also, current insurance information. Some states require, a copy of a driver's license for if it's an individual driver. So there's different requirements in different states, and it's making sure who you're working with understands and can communicate to you what are the documents you need. But the basic ones, as I said, are either the title you have, the MSO for a new vehicle or MCO, and the bill of sale are all required for initial title and registration in most states. So have those documents ready along with insurance. Those are the big three.
Absolutely. And Heidi, from the transport side, what can clients do to make the process smoother and faster?
I would say first, make sure the vehicle is truly ready to go. Second, provide complete and accurate information on the vehicle. Third, have reliable on-site contacts at pickup and the delivery locations. And finally, communicate any changes as early as possible.
Nice. And question for both of you guys. So, what is one small change clients can make that have a big impact on speed?
With ATC, going back to the reliable on-site contacts, that makes a big impact, is having confirmed contacts. That speeds up the process to where we can confirm the vehicle's there, it's ready, their hours of pickup and delivery. Our driver can reach out to them 24-hour notice. It just speeds up the process without delaying it anymore.
And from the title registration side, it's really know where your documents are. I can't tell how many fleets, start a conversation with that we cannot find a title. So the first thing we have to do is go get duplicate titles. Well, that delays the whole process of getting that vehicle back on the road and compliant. As I said earlier, the states are cracking down on compliance related issues. So you really need to watch what you're doing.
Absolutely. And how early should companies start the process if they want everything to run smoothly?
As early as
With
possible.
us, yeah, and with us, as soon as they know they'll need assistance, please reach out.
Yeah, it's as early as you can get started. Make arrangements. On the driveway side, get in touch as soon as you know. That way they can get through what the documentation is going to be known. And then on the title and registration side, understand, in your state or in the state you're moving to, what documents do they need? And this is where your partner comes in. Do they know? Let them explain to you what documents are needed. What do they need to complete? How long are they seeing turn times take it to DMV? Because, on our side, we have how long it's going to take us to prepare the state documents. That doesn't account for how long it's going to take the DMV to process those transactions. In most DMVs, it's a week to 2 weeks, which isn't terrible, but you need to accommodate that time. but there are DMVs where they're on 4 to 6 weeks delayed. So you need to understand how long that state is taking to process transactions.
Very true. And how would you say both companies can work together?
Well, we work really well together, especially when clients need licensing en route. Our drivers are able to stop and do those inspections, get everything they need to be able to deliver the vehicle with all that with it.
Yeah, that's what I think, with you Driveway being able to complete the inspections en route, they can get those to us ahead of, as they're completing the delivery, and it speeds up the process, because if that truck is delivered or vehicle is delivered, then has to go for inspections, or I'll use an example, California has to be driven a certain amount of miles before they can even complete the inspection. It all takes time, and that is just more time that vehicle isn't actually on the road, completing miles for you, delivering goods, and earning money for your company. So get on top of things as quickly as possible and understand how long it's going to get an idea of how long it's going to take to complete these processes.
Absolutely. Well, awesome. That was all really good information. Hopefully everyone listening now has a little bit of a better picture of how to avoid delays and keep things moving. Now we're going to move into Q&A. So feel free to ask any questions in the chat right now and we'll answer them live. So let me check the chat. It looks like I have a couple questions in the chat. Okay, for Kevin, what does the process look like for the titling department from beginning to end?
From beginning to end, basically, depending on the vehicle type, is it a currently owned vehicle or is it a new vehicle? So if it's currently owned, then it is taking the old title, getting it transferred to new owner, getting all that through the DMV. Generally, that process is anywhere from a week to 3 week process, depending. As states move to more electronic lien and title, it will hopefully increase those times, but we all know that the DMV will move at the speed of a snail in making changes. Unless they want to collect more money from you, then they will move at the speed of light. So be prepared for these changes. But to move the title process through, it is really just what vehicle type is it? What type of transaction are we doing? And what documentation are we going to need? The more that we know up front, the quicker we can help you get that through the process. And it really comes down to more of the question is what type of transaction are we doing with that vehicle?
Exactly. They asked a second follow-up question. What are the roles of the account manager, title clerk, renewals department, and how do they work together to make the process smooth?
Well, in our case, the account managers or process, they work with you to work with the title clerk. Title clerk is obviously looking at the titles, getting those things ready to be processed, whether they're doing it themselves or not. They're trying to understand what is the requirements in that state. Internally here, that team works with, we have an internal team that continues to go out and research what are the changes in the DMVs across the country, what documents have changed. So we keep our systems updated. That's where the hardest part for a title clerk is understanding what changes are being made across the country, what fees are being changed all the time, because that's changed. The DMV will up fees at a moment's notice. Those are the hardest things for a title clerk to understand, or an account manager. And then a fleet manager is trying to keep everything in logistics moving. So their job is to keep it on the road. They're not looking at the titling issue they just want that vehicle moving. So it's really, how do the three work together? It's really understanding what are the compliance components needed for your company in that state you're operating in or states you're operating in. So you need a good understanding of once you get past one or two states, a title clerk, account manager, and a fleet manager are going to have problems keeping up with all of that data.
Absolutely. And then before we get too far away from the first question, someone else actually asked a follow-up to that. They're asking, were you referring to ownership by the client or by the fleet management company when question about what does the process look like?
Well, that depends. If it's an owned vehicle, then the process looks a little different because you have the title. If it's a leased vehicle through a fleet management company, the leasing company has the title. So there's, like I said, there's a variety of different ways those transactions work depending on the status of that vehicle's title and who actually owns that vehicle. The process works in two different ways for that vehicle. Do you own it? Do you lease it? Both have different transactions that are done for it.
All right. Another question I have here is there a list of requirements available for all states that can be shared when using ABS as a vendor?
We do share those as you have transaction types or transaction as state. We can provide a list of required documents that we're going to need for that transaction. As I said at the beginning, the big three that you're going to need are title, bill of sale insurance, or MSO bill of sale insurance. Those are the three. They're pretty much non-negotiable across all 50 states, and they're going to be required on every transaction type.
Nice. Okay, we had another question for Kevin. It was just someone asking if you had an online partner in Pennsylvania.
Well, the good thing about being in business for over 30 years is we have partners in every state that if we need someone to help with a transaction to expedite the process, we generally have someone on the ground in every state. And I would say yes to Pennsylvania as well, because I know we have them in all 50 states.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to a question for both of you guys. What's the most common mistake you see new clients make?
I think on ATC, it's giving incomplete information or bad contacts for pickup and delivery. Those two are probably the biggest ones. We need the right year, make, and model. We need the correct bin. We need the correct weight with that vehicle as well. So always give correct information.
Not understanding how long the DMV truly can take to get through a transaction. Some are very good. Some are extremely slow. Some are really, I won't say they're all cracking down, but some are a little bit more lenient than others. Some you better cross every T and dot every I and little lowercase j, or it's coming back to you rejected and we have to do corrections. So it's really understanding what is required in the various DMVs.
Nice. I have another question for Kevin. It looks like, can you walk us through transfer of ownerships? And is this a service that ABS provides? And what is generally needed for that?
It is a service we provide. So we can work with a company or a company transferring ownership of the vehicle. So if your company acquires a company and is acquiring vehicles in that acquisition, we can help correct those titles and get them into the proper name. You're going to need with that the previous owner title, the vehicle's title that we will get you to sign off on, get everything corrected there. Then you'll need the information for the sale of the company or the acquisition of the company and just to be able to prove you have acquired that fleet of vehicles. You have to prove ownership, and then your insurance information to get started. And then each state has a different set of documents they may need as well, in addition to the state documents for that transaction. Once again, it's back to just the big three. It's the title, it's the proof of sale, bill of sale, if you want to call it, and insurance.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, another question for both of you guys. How do state-to-state differences impact timing?
What we see with the Driveaway side, the differences from state to state in timing, we see mostly on oversized and overweight vehicles. For instance, if the truck needs a pilot car or needs to take a specific route, those things can impact timing because there's sometimes certain times you can and can't drive. So again, going back to a question a statement previously, as soon as you know you're going to need assistance, please reach out so we can get all this in line.
As I state trans, just on the title registration side, it varies so much from state to state on what is required for vehicles and what's required to get that vehicle registered in a state, especially moving vehicles from state to state.
Okay, I have another question for Kevin.
I'm
What
popular
if
today.
you are popular? What if you're doing a correction, say in Illinois, and the state is asking for service records and you don't have any? What is your recourse?
I would have to get with our fleet team or get with our individual managers on that one. That is not above my knowledge level on state's individual. So I can check on that for you and get you an answer, but I would not give an answer without knowing this individual state. But that goes back to, I don't know Illinois's rules inside and out. So I'd have to check and see what their requirements are.
Absolutely. Um, Question for both of you guys. Can transport and titling happen at the same time, or do they need to be sequential?
We can title and transport at the same time if the customer wants the plate mailed. If the customer wants it delivered with plates, titling will need to start first.
And that also varies by state, but titling would need to start first to expedite the process. And like I said, it's anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, most states. So you need to factor that into how you're planning your vehicles and moving them from location to location.
Right. Another question for both of you guys. What's a realistic timeline for getting a vehicle fully road ready?
Um, Kevin, you want to take that one?
Ooh, it goes back, state to state, just varies on the DMV and how quickly a process can be completed. That also goes back to if you have your documentation and everything is ready for that vehicle, for us to process the title and registration portion and get that vehicle, whatever change we're making in that titling, then it expedites that process even as quickly as possible. But average 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks is probably about the correct to get it through the DMV. So as you're planning, and wanting to get a vehicle moved, then plan for that. This also doesn't account, you do have temp tags that can be used on vehicles as you're going, but generally states are starting to crack down on those as well, that third parties like an ABS tag and title are having problems requesting some temp tags from some states. Some states are now only allowing dealers to request temp tags. Some states are only allowing the DMV is not issuing temp tags at all. It can only come through a dealer. So, like I say, it's really looking at what states we're moving to and getting with your partner, whether it be ABS, to get those requirements in process ahead of time.
See, I knew your answer would be a little bit more in depth than mine. With us, it can be the same day if it doesn't need the licensing and titling. So you can get your vehicle ready to move within the same day with us.
Yep. As long as you have all the paperwork ready and title's in good shape and you've got all you need, it can go quickly.
Okay, I have another question in the chat here. It says, sometimes we are asked for documents that are completely foreign to our knowledge per rejections. Would the best place to start be by conducting a search on that state's DMV site, or are ABS personnel able to walk us through these roadblocks?
Well, if you're a client, then reach out to ABS. If you're not, reach out to ABS and we can help you with that too. Yes, on the DMV websites, they should have all the required documents that you need for that transaction. And I hate to bring it up, but you could also dip into AI a little bit here and ask a question on what the required documents are and let that work for you as well. There is some research that can be done outside of using a company that you can do on your own. But if you want an expert, then you're going to have to partner with someone to help you with that. But most state DMVs websites and county websites are up to date with what are required. They should be anyway. That way you can get those documents. And yes, even for us, there are documents that the DMVs do ask for that we're like, what are you really asking for here? And is it We also see times that there are clerks in the DMV offices that are maybe reading more into a requirement than is necessary. So it's really getting with them and understanding what are they asking for, and don't be afraid to call them. Sometimes they're not going to be the most friendly person, but reach out to them and ask the questions. You need to understand what the requirements are.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like we are at time now, so we will wrap up these questions. As we wrap up, I want to thank Heidi and Kevin again for sharing their expertise today. This
Thank
kind of
you,
information,
Ashley.
of course, this kind of information can really make a difference when you're trying to move fast and avoid any delays. And thank you to everyone who joined us. We hope you're leaving with a clearer blueprint for getting your vehicles on the road quickly and efficiently. If you have any follow-up questions or want to connect with any of our teams, feel free to reach out. We have contact information on this slide here. Thanks again, and we hope to see you at a future session.